especially Erasmo, dear to all of us. It's really hard to let him go, but sometimes it is good for him to be freed from whatever sufferings he would endure. Maybe the Lord has taken him to free him from further sufferings. So our Lord said to the bystanders in that cemetery, untie him so he could walk free. So we should let go of our beloved Mo so that he could go free and be received by God in heaven. It is not easy. It is very painful separation, but it is good for our beloved Mo. Because right now we cannot suffer anymore, but only enjoying the praises of God, the happiness of heaven. One day we too will be there, but first we have to live a good life in this world, that will be so qualified to enter heaven. Now, I would ask there to give us some words about his uncle, to give us more about his uncle's life, and especially the love that he has for everybody. Now, Rodel, it's your turn.
On behalf of the family, I'd like to thank everyone who came here today to be with Uncle Mo for the last time before he meets the Lord Almighty. Uncle Mo was a simple man with a simple dream, that he could one day retire to the Philippines and enjoy the fruits of his labor with his loved ones. His plan when he came to the States was to work hard every day so he could provide the best that he could for his family. He was a great provider. He valued money because he was a man who understood a hard day's work. My dad keeps on reminding us that we should all be like Bapang when it comes to our finances. We will definitely try. As thrifty as he was also a generous man. Nanang Luz told me the other day that he never fails to pass by their house during paydays when he first started working in the Philippines to give her a little money. Nothing big, just a few pesos, just enough for a family meal. It really was more of a gesture of how thoughtful he was. Like every day in the morning whenever he's back home in the Philippines, he'd go house to house to give neighbors in the barrio a few pandesals, the local bread for breakfast. He was a loving brother who was always there by my dad's side whenever my father gets too sick or when he has a doctor's appointment. To his nephews and nieces, he was always the fun uncle. We would forever cherish the weekends when we were kids, sleeping over at the house in San Miguel, and the swimmings at the Paranom. And I remember all these things as if we had done them all yesterday. He had a weakness for Popeyes and Chinese food. He and my dad would sneak out on Saturdays to the local Chinese buffet for lunch when we were still in Kensington. We only found out later when we went for dinner one time and the waiter said to him, "Oh, you're here again." He's not the greatest chef in the world, but it doesn't stop him from cooking something special every now and then. I especially like his dinuguan or tigtad, when one time he didn't even bother slicing the meat and just threw the pork chops in the pot. It wasn't even supposed to be pork chops. I think my brother Ron's favorite was the lamb, cooked sinigang style. He loved to walk. I would often see him on West Side Avenue with Nanang Alik in the morning, walking her to work. And I think he really believes that the early bird always catches the worm. Because he'd be at Journal Square Station at 6:30 in the morning when his work does not even start until 9. He loved to window shop. It'll take him weeks, if not months, before he buys something, probably contemplating if it's worth it or if it will go on sale soon. I'll often hear him say, Dini, bagay lang kang kaya rin kang balikoko. Referring to his son, that'll look nice on Enik. They say every man has his own quirks. For Bapang Mok, it was his shoes and the apartment stove. Every time he has a new pair of sneakers, he'd break them in by wearing them all day inside the house while doing chores, or while when relaxing in bed, just to see how comfortable they are before he starts using them to work. And he always made sure that the stove is turned off by checking to see if the knobs are turned all the way to the right before he leaves the apartment, every day. He was a nervous man too. My Ate Charit, his eldest daughter, told me that he was more nervous than she was when she had the C-section with Miguel, his first grandson. He would also write their address on a piece of paper to put it in his son's pocket, just in case the little Enik gets lost. Like our grandfather before him, he was a good handyman and a barber, and was always ready to lend a helping hand to others, like our Apong would say. And most importantly, he loved his family. His grandchildren are gold to him. His children, the most important thing in his life, and his loving wife, his support. He told us of his plans when he eventually retires back home this year. Maybe a kubo or a small hut in his backyard whenever the elders and his friends would visit him. A minivan for when he and his grandkids could go to the mall. He said he was also planning on converting one of the bedrooms in the house into a family room where his three apos, Gege, Jose, and Juan, could give him all the massages that he wants, and together watch all the movies that they want. He couldn't wait to have his favorite lomi or pancit mandarin, the Chinese noodles from Oriente, when he gets home. And he was very excited to help my Ate Connie, her daughter, build her dream house. I could go on all night and share with you all the family's wonderful experience, but I'm sure they're just as wonderful as your time with my Bapang Mo. He is with God now, and maybe he has a bahay kubo in heaven where he's spending his time with Apong Jose, Inda, and Nang Flor, probably enjoying his favorite noodles while listening to his favorite Johnny Mathis songs while watching over us. We may no longer see him, but we'll always have these special moments we share with him. He will always have a special place in our hearts. Let's be thankful that we knew a special man like Bapang Mo. So in closing, we would like to say this to you, Bapang Mo, Mang Moki, Kuya Mo, Tatay, Tatang, Oka, or simply Mo. In behalf of your wife, Nanang Alik, your children, Ate Charit, Ate Connie, Enik, Kuya Jimmy, Kuya Ronald, Gege, Jose, and Juan, and the rest of your family and friends. Your physical presence may not be here, but your memories will live on. Thank you for everything. We love you and we'll miss you.